He's here.
While recent Predator films have fumbled the ball, forgetting what the Yautja are, what motivates them, and how their sacred honor code actually works, I figured now's the perfect time to return to one of the franchises that helped lay the foundation for this channel. Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we're diving deep into everything we know and wish the sequels remembered about the Yautja. The Yautja, better known to humans by their far more descriptive nickname, the Predators, are an extraterrestrial species defined by a single, relentless cultural pursuit, the hunt. Not the kind of hunt one undertakes for food or survival, but a ceremonial, almost spiritual act of stalking and eliminating worthy opponents for sport, status, and above all, for honor. Among the deadliest sentient beings in the galaxy, the Yautja are a humanoid species who breathe a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere similar to Earth's, but any similarities end there. Technologically, they are millennia ahead of humanity. They combine cutting-edge gadgetry like active camouflage, thermal imaging, and plasma weaponry with a curious fondness for bladed tools, throwing spears, and high-tensile nets. The Predators are as much ritualists as they are killers. They rarely slay without purpose. Their hunts are formal, governed by codes, customs, and rites. Prey is selected carefully, and the act of killing is often followed by trophy taking, typically a skull, spine, or other skeletal souvenir, cleansed and displayed with the precision of an alien taxidermist. These beings are not tourists, they are apex predators. Their presence on Earth stretches back centuries, even longer in the Alien vs. Predator comics and movies. Various ruins in ancient texts across human history suggest repeated visitations, and at least some level of contact with other advanced species, most notably the Engineers, with whom the Yautja share either a rivalry, an alliance, or simply a mutual disinterest in human well-being, depending on the comic book. Beyond their blood-soaked conflicts with humanity, the Yautja have become inextricably linked with another of fiction's apex nightmares, the xenomorph XX-121, which they refer to in their own tongue as Kinda Medha, or hard meat. Revered as the most formidable prey in the galaxy, xenomorphs are not merely hunted, they are cultivated. The Yautja have been known to capture queens, breed the creatures en masse, and unleash them within temples and sanctuaries, all as part of a violent rite of passage for their young, because apparently nothing says coming of age like trying not to get disemboweled by something with acid for blood. Physically, predators are unmistakable. Towering well over 7 feet tall, they are reptilian in texture and terrifying in appearance. Thick, sinewy dreadlocks, organic in nature, cascade from their skulls. Their claws are razor sharp. Their skin varies from dry to slick and from light ochre to dark charcoal. Most notably, their faces feature arthropod-like mandibles, 4 segmented appendages that click, flex, and flare depending on mood or menace. Their exact biological function is unknown. Some posit they play a role in mating, others believe they are vestigial, like the human appendix but more terrifying. Yautja are known to communicate emotion through these mandibles, flaring them in anger or surprise, clicking them in curiosity, and in some cases, smiling with them. That smile, it should be noted, often precedes decapitation. While the species is broadly uniform, there is still variation. Some bear additional features, such as sparse facial quills along the brows or cheeks. Others, like the Yautja are known as Monday, or rather bluntly named Shorty, stands at heights closer to that of a human. These individuals are uncommon and often mocked within their society, where physical dominance is intrinsically tied to honor. Nonetheless, their presence is a reminder that even in a warrior culture, biological diversity persists. Much like humans, the Yautja are not monolithic. They are varied, complex, and, in their own brutal way, strangely noble. Long before the galaxy came to fear the silhouette of dreadlocks in a heat haze, the Yautja were not the apex predators we know today, but rather the underdogs of someone else's food chain. The earliest known ancestors of the species were the Hishkuten, or simply the Hish, a primitive people who inhabited the homeworld that would one day be known as Yautja Prime. While biologically similar to their descendants, the Hish were shorter, less developed intellectually, and, to put it generously, evolutionarily unfinished. These variants have a kill gland tucked beneath their neck and collarbone, which, when overstimulated, triggers a homicidal frenzy so intense it makes a meth-fueled bar fight look like a tea party. Worse still, this kill rage can be contagious, sort of like emotional herpes but with more stabbing. Entire wars have been sparked by it, forcing the Hish to adopt hormone regulators just to keep themselves from murdering each other during lunch breaks. Their rise began, ironically, through defeat. The Hish were subjugated in a planetary-scale invasion by the Amengi, a technologically advanced insectoid species that brought all the cruelty of conquerors, but none of the backbone. Fittingly, the Amengi's design draws from the original scrapped insectoid concept for the jungle hunter predator from the 1987 film. The Amengi treated the Hish with the sort of creativity one expects from history's worst tyrants, enslaving them, experimenting on them, and hosting gladiatorial blood sports for entertainment. For centuries, the Hish endured a life of servitude, their potential buried beneath chains and misery. But all tyrants make one fatal mistake: they get comfortable. The Amengi, long softened by decadence, were wholly unprepared for the rise of Kale, an unusually intelligent and alarmingly large Hish who led a planet-wide uprising with a level of brutality that has since become something of a family tradition. In a thunderous reversal of fortune, the Amengi were overthrown, butchered, and those who survived were returned the favor of slavery, this time under new management. The Hish seized their master's technology and fused it with their own primal instincts, forging a culture equal parts savagery and science fiction. It is here in this crucible of revenge, ritual, and recycled weaponry that the Yautja were born. Interestingly enough, the Amengi's twisted hunting games may have inspired what would become the sacred Yautja rite of the hunt, now a cornerstone of their society. Where the Hish were subjugated, the Yautja became dominant, defining themselves not by what they endured, but by what they chose to hunt.
Humans were used to breed the ultimate prey. The hunters would battle with these great serpents to prove themselves worthy to carry the mark.
I know one thing, Major. I drew down a fire straight at it, capped off 200 rounds in the minigun, full pack. Nothing on this earth could have lived. Not at that range.
When it comes to classifying the Yautja biologically, the academic consensus can be best described as tentative with a side of guesswork. They walk upright, breathe oxygen, display highly developed social structures, and also, somewhat inconveniently for taxonomists, have a tendency to kill anything that gets too close with a clipboard. That said, the most common comparative classification places them somewhere between reptilian and mammalian. While their scaled or mottled skin immediately evokes the image of a lizard, there's more going on beneath the carapace. The predators are, to put it mildly, walking power fantasies, biological wrecking balls wrapped in dreadlocks, mandibles, and a generous layer of ritualistic bravado. Their bone and muscle tissue is significantly denser than that of a human, giving them tensile strength and impact resistance that would make most professional athletes and armored vehicles alike reconsider their career paths. And while they may look like angry Rastafarians on steroids, what lies beneath that dreadlocked exterior is far more fascinating, and occasionally horrifying. Let's start with the air they breathe. Yautja respiration requires a slightly different cocktail than ours. 1% more oxygen and 4% more nitrogen than Earth's atmosphere provides. Without a breathing apparatus, they can survive on Earth unaided for about a week, long enough to decapitate a few dozen Marines and blow up a jungle before heading home. A Yautja can tank gunshot wounds with minimal medical attention, if they bother treating them at all. Radiation, bacteria, and viral infections that would leave a human as a soup in a hazmat bag seem to bounce off them with casual indifference. They are strong enough to rip a human spine out with a flick of the wrist, and in some cases have been recorded tearing a person in half vertically, because apparently just killing you wasn't quite expressive enough. Their lower body strength is equally absurd. They've been seen leaping multiple times their height, falling from even greater distances without consequence, and scaling trees or buildings with the ease of a jungle cat who brought a plasma cannon to the party. Whether in dense forest canopies or modern cityscapes, the Yautja seem to prefer high ground. perhaps due to tactical advantage, or simply because they enjoy watching their prey panic from above like murderous gargoyles. Though capable of enduring sub-zero temperatures, see the whole Antarctica incident, predators show a distinct preference for hot, humid equatorial climates, suggesting either a cold-blooded metabolism or a fondness for tanning while decapitating things. At the same time, Yautja armor often features a wire mesh designed to retain heat, a detail that would imply thermoregulatory needs more akin to a warm-blooded organism, or a lizard with strong opinions about interior climate control. Humans have described this armor's heat settings as intensely uncomfortable, even at the lowest levels, but whether that says more about human tolerance or Yautja temperature preference is anyone's guess. Notably, not all Yautja wear the mesh, which suggests it may not be a physiological necessity, but rather a means of stimulating the specific climate controls of their home world, which is described as brutally hot. They like to sweat. It builds character. From a genetic standpoint, the Yautja are the stuff of corporate biotech dreams. According to Dr. Isabella Borgia, their genetic material far surpasses that of humans, potentially offering pathways to artificial enhancement, longevity, and accelerated physical evolution. One unfortunate soul, Isabella's son, Hunter Borgia, attempted such enhancement, though the experiment was cut short when he was turned into paste by a Yautja named Scarface. Even so, Yautja DNA is proven potent enough that, when combined with a xenomorph host, it produces the dreaded Predalien, a hybrid boasting not only mandibles and dreadlocks, but the worst traits of both parent species and absolutely none of the charm. Their blood, a phosphorescent green fluid, is more than just visually striking, it's chemically remarkable. Yautja blood appears to counteract the acidic nature of xenomorph blood to a degree, and has been shown in fringe cases to extend human lifespans well beyond natural limits. Whether that's because of some cellular regenerative property, or because nobody wants to annoy something that bleeds like a glow stick is still up for debate. Visually, the Yautja see the world quite differently. Their natural vision operates mainly in the infrared spectrum, allowing them to detect thermal signatures with precision. The trade-off, however, is an inability to easily distinguish between objects of similar temperature. While this would be a massive tactical flaw for most, the Yautja have cleverly solved it by strapping on their iconic biohelmets, which expand their vision across a variety of spectrums, from low infrared to ultraviolet, while also filtering out ambient heat to give them thermal clarity even in dense jungle heat or smoky urban chaos. Their masks also function as breathing filters, providing atmospheric stability when conditions become too foreign. Though they appear capable of breathing Earth's atmosphere unaided, the loss of the helmet seems to limit their respiratory efficiency, especially in unfamiliar environments or when they've just been blown out of a tree by a grenade launcher. And yet, despite all these overwhelming advantages, super strength, enhanced resilience, advanced vision modes, and blood that doubles as alien Red Bull, humans still occasionally win. Predators, for all their prowess, carry one notable disadvantage. They're big. Bigger means stronger, yes, but it also means heavier, less agile, and more susceptible to clever traps. More importantly, their thermal-based sight can be bypassed entirely by intelligent countermeasures. Dutch famously smeared himself in mud, masking his heat signature. Royce used a wall of fire to level the thermal field and strike undetected. In both cases, the humans adapted faster, learned quicker, and exploited the one Achilles heel in the predator's otherwise bulletproof anatomy, their overconfidence. The species is sexually dimorphic, with both male and female sexes observed, though nearly all human encounters and unfortunate fatalities have involved male individuals. This is not due to any lack of capability among the females, rather it's a matter of cultural division. Yautja females are rarely seen off-world and do not participate in the hunt to the same degree as males. They do, however, maintain complete control over reproduction.
Our last encounter was special. We weren't certain if they had any gender to speak of, but that changed when we came into contact with the female. She was smarter and deadlier. She didn't fuck around like the males did. She was direct, ruthless, and skilled.
It wasn't until the franchise introduced Cleopatra, a female predator, not the Egyptian queen, that we got a clear look at how Yautja females differ. According to Dutch Schaefer, the females don't mess around. They're smarter, deadlier, and less likely to monologue before slicing your head off. Some are physically larger and more spiked than their male counterparts. Think Amazonian nightmare with plasma cannons. Others like Big Mama appear nearly identical to males, save for the occasional anatomy hint that says definitely female if you squint at just the right frame. Behaviorally, the divide is even more noticeable. Males, especially the unblooded, are rash, impulsive, and driven by the kind of testosterone that would make an orc jealous. Females, on the other hand, are methodical, composed, and terrifying in a she'll kill you and file a field report after kind of way. The Yautja appear to consider wisdom and control feminine traits, while aggression and chest-thumping bravado belong to the boys. It's a dynamic best summed up by Deshande, who correctly deduced that human Machiko Noguchi was female simply by observing her behavior, because she wasn't making a scene or picking a fight. Which brings us to reproduction, a subject that, mercifully, the films have avoided, but which the expanded lore dives into with both fascination and horror. Yautja procreation appears mammalian in nature, with familiar anatomy and a seasonal breeding cycle. Females enter estrus and release a potent must to attract males, while males compete for attention like hormonal gladiators with dreadlocks. Status is everything. A young blood won't even get a second glance from a female unless he's got xenomorph acid still sizzling on his armor. Polygamy seems to be the norm, with high-status males claiming dozens of partners. Clan leader class Yautja like Nat Kapu are said to have harems, accumulating mates alongside trophies. Breeding isn't just about sex either, it's tied to legacy and honor. The hunt, mating, and clan continuation are interwoven, and producing a vast brood is considered a high achievement. The average litter size isn't specified, but top-tier hunters are known to sire up to 200 offspring, like some deranged intergalactic rabbits. There's even a widow clan comprised of females whose mates have fallen in battle. But it's not all romance and razor blades. Yautja society practices a form of reproductive eugenics, with elders occasionally deeming certain males unfit to pass on their genes, going as far as surgical sterilization. One unfortunate Yautja named La Nixfa was nearly castrated for being too small, proving that even in a species built around merit, size does matter. And as for mating itself, Deshande once recalled being thrown across the room during a particularly intense session, because of course sex with a predator is equal parts passion and blunt force trauma. Young Yautja, known as sucklings, are born after an undetermined gestation period. There is no evidence that they hatch from eggs, meaning they're most likely live birth creatures. A further sign that mammalian characteristics are mixed into their genetic soup. Supporting this, females have been observed to possess mammary glands, and notable hunters like Deshande have commented on recognizing similar traits in human females, albeit with the subtlety of a brick through a window. The Yautja are nothing if not observant. Parental roles in Yautja society remain unclear, but what is evident is that they adopt a communal approach to child rearing. According to Deshande, the Yautja follow a village-raising structure, in which offspring are raised collectively rather than strictly by their biological parents. He himself was raised closely with a half-sibling from another mother, suggesting that bloodlines do not prevent strong bonds from forming between young Yautja within the same community. However, it should be noted that prestigious bloodlines come with expectations, and males of high status often take more direct interest in the development of their heirs, usually in the form of rigorous training, forced combat trials, and the occasional ceremonial branding. A Yautja is considered a teenager at around 50 to 60 years of age, and an adult between 100 to 200 years. Despite reaching physical maturity, they're actually not regarded as full members of society until they've undergone the rite of passage to become blooded. Until that moment, they're effectively on probation, apprentice hunters with curfews, lacking both independence and respect within their clan. Their lifespans, however, make up for the long wait. Yautja are among the longest-lived sentient species in known space, with some surviving for several thousand years. Only a few species surpass this kind of longevity, namely the elusive Dracathi and certain strains of xenomorphs, particularly the queens, who, rather unfairly, are biologically immortal unless something rips them in half. That the Yautja spends these vast lifespans in a near-constant cycle of training, ritual, and blood sport is either a testament to their discipline or evidence that they find boredom more terrifying than death. Ultimately, Yautja biology isn't a function of physiology, it's the biological scaffolding upon which their entire culture is built. From lifespan to lust, blood chemistry to battle glands, everything about their anatomy feeds into their core ideology, strength, honor, and the eternal chase. They are not monsters, they are nature, red in fang and claw, wrapped in ritual and spiked armor. The dietary preferences of the Yautja remain something of a mystery because the researchers tend to end up on the menu. That said, glimpses into their culinary habits suggest a primarily carnivorous appetite with a distinct preference for red meat. The city hunter famously made bi-daily visits to a Los Angeles slaughterhouse, developing what Agent Peter Keyes described as a taste for beef. While this didn't exactly make him a foodie, it did make him trackable, one of the few instances where ground chuck and flank steak became tactical intelligence.
Seems he has a taste for beef.
I didn't think he was vegetarian.
Other predators have been seen ingesting earth plant roots, likely drawn by some olfactory cue or biological instinct. Either way, it's difficult to know whether this represents dietary flexibility or sheer alien curiosity. Of course, exceptions exist. There are darker cases, mutated predators driven to cannibalism after exposure to synthetic toxins like chemical AO3959X.91-15, and rogue elements like the infamous New Jersey Bad Blood, who happily dined on humans in addition to breaking every rule in the Yautja codebook. These are not reflective of standard behavior, but rather clear outliers. Even galactic civilizations have their own serial killers. For all their skull collecting and plasma casting, the Yautja are not mere savage beasts. Beneath a layer of muscle, mandibles, and murder lies a rigid, ancient moral framework. A hunter's doctrine forged in blood, discipline, and peer-reviewed decapitation. This is the Yautja Honor Code, a sacred law that dictates who may be hunted, under what circumstances, and exactly how much gloating is considered acceptable. Despite their fearsome reputation, predators consistently refrain from killing the unworthy. On Earth, this typically means children, unarmed civilians, the elderly, and pregnant women. Even the terminally ill have been spared, provided they don't get brave with a flamethrower. However, should one of these individuals choose to attack, they immediately forfeit their honorary "Please Don't Kill Me" badge. The code, after all, is about fairness, not sentimentality. The code even governs the terms of combat. If a prey demands a fair fight, the predator may shed its advanced weaponry, though curiously, the risk gauntlet often stays on. Honor, it seems, stops short of complete disarmament. Predators who breach the code are not simply shamed, they are exiled, hunted, or executed by their own kind. These pariahs are known as bad bloods, the closest thing to heretics in Yautja society. And in a society built on honor and the careful display of violence, being labeled a heretic is less philosophical disagreement and more open season. While all Yautja are expected to follow the code, there is a spectrum of forgiveness. High-ranking warriors like Scarface in the Predator Concrete Jungle video game are sometimes afforded leniency, usually because they've earned enough battlefield credibility to balance out a momentary lapse in etiquette. Conversely, young bloods and unblooded Yautja are closely scrutinized, as the code is the crucible through which they're forged or burned. Breaches come with clear penalties. Those who break the code are expected to submit themselves for punishment. If they don't, they're marked for death and hunted by specialist Yautja called enforcers or arbitrators, essentially interstellar auditors with spears and zero tolerance for ethical non-compliance. Redemption is not impossible, but rare and often terminal. A dishonored predator must accept responsibility, endure punishment, and then succeed in a death-defying task of restoration. Failure results in death. Success results in slightly delayed death, probably, but with your honor intact. The rules of the code, while consistent across most sources, are not officially codified. What we have is a patchwork of law, implication, and observed behavior, but the framework remains largely stable. Among its core tenets: 1. Never kill the innocent. Children, the elderly, and those who cannot fight back are off limits, unless of course they're armed, threatening, or accidentally hosting a chestburster. 2. Never claim another's kill. Poaching is punishable by death. Skulls must be earned, not inherited or given. 3. Only hunt what can hunt you. Worthy prey must be dangerous, either physically or tactically. 4. Level the playing field. The less equipment you use, the more honorable the kill. 5. Leave no trace. Technology must never fall into lesser species' hands. If it does and you let it happen, say hello to banishment or a plasma bolt. 6. No genetic tampering. Hybrids like predaliens, Yautja human offspring, or any other genetic abominations are considered unholy affronts to Yautja purity and must be destroyed immediately. Bonus points for torturing their creators. 7. Revealing oneself before the final blow. A dramatic flair, yes, but also a matter of etiquette. If you're going to kill someone, it's polite to let them see the face of death first. 8. Self-deletion before dishonor. Failure in the hunt means death by one's own gauntlet. Cowards who flee can expect a courtesy visit from an enforcer, with a very short conversation planned. 9. Show mercy where due. A defeated worthy opponent is to be respected. But if they reject your mercy, you're free to introduce them to the floor in as many pieces as necessary. Despite the rigidity of the code, exceptions exist. Sometimes prey breaks the rules first. Sometimes the situation is so dire, like uncontrolled xenomorph infestations, that the usual restrictions are lifted. What I love about the Predators, and something that's often neglected in the sequels, is that when faced with true resistance, the Yautja are actually remarkably respectful. After Mike Harrigan bested the City Hunter in one-on-one combat, the rest of his kin did not retaliate. Instead, the Elder rewarded Harrigan with a flintlock pistol, commemorating the humans' victory in accordance with their cultural belief that a worthy kill deserves recognition, not vengeance. I'm looking at you, Predator, killer of killers. Yautja do not abduct humans that have bested their own and put them in cryogenic stasis to fight the king of their species, as it goes against their honor code, and the Yautja don't have a king, but more on their hierarchy and social structure later. In rare cases like Alexa Woods in the AVP movie and Machiko Noguchi in the Predator comics, humans who fight alongside the Yautja with honor are recognized as kin, inducted into the ranks of the blooded and offered gear, though not, notably, the instruction manual. It's kind of hard to admit, but Paul W.S. Anderson, a man known for butchering source material, actually gave us some of the most source material accurate lore to be featured in a film. There are even circumstances where other Yautja clans may intervene in a hunt without explicit permission, usually during purification rituals or political trials orchestrated by the Council of Ancients. And while weapons like the Blazer or electric shock missile battery are strictly forbidden during standard hunts, they're permitted in cases of warfare, infestation, or total planetary meltdown. The code, then, is not just law, it is identity. To a Yautja, honor is not a virtue, it is a currency, creed, and compass. Break it and you are no longer hunter, you are the prey. The hunt, or Tesaidi, is sacred. It is the right by which a Yautja proves their worth, not just to their peers, but to themselves, their ancestors, and the endless rows of skulls displayed on their starships like grisly family albums. A hunt may be undertaken solo, in pairs, or by entire clans, depending on the nature of the prey. But regardless of scale, the goal is the same. Kill something that can kill you back. The Yautja choose prey based not on ease, but on challenge. Physical strength, intelligence, resourcefulness. Any of these may qualify a creature as worthy prey. Preferred targets include xenomorphs, humans, and the unlucky elite from other alien races. But the xenomorph XX-121 stands above all others. The ultimate trophy, often featured in initiation hunts that serve as trials for young Yautja transitioning into adulthood. These deadly rites often take place in ancient pyramids or temples seeded with xenomorphs bred specifically for this purpose. Yautja are not above staging their ideal conditions. Some lure prey into traps, others bring their prey into engineered hunting grounds. Occasionally, they'll even kill the prey's allies first, both for strategic advantage and to enrage the target and make the fight more interesting. One could interpret this as sadistic. The Yautja interpret it as optimizing difficulty settings.
He's busted up pretty bad, Major.
I can make it. I can make it.
I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some. I'm gonna have me some.
To the untrained eye, all Yautja hunts may look the same, but within their culture, each hunt is distinct, a sacred undertaking classified by purpose, rank, and the kind of prey that justifies tearing its spine out for interior decor. Among the most common and recognizable is game hunting, the bread and butter of predator society. Typically undertaken by blooded Yautja, this is a solitary hunt where the individual stalks worthy prey for personal honor, status, and skull-collecting satisfaction. These hunts often span days, sometimes weeks, with the hunter patiently observing patterns, testing strength, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Hunters are drawn to hot climates and conflict zones, places where natural and man-made violence converge. Whether it's an equatorial war zone or a jungle teeming with predators, the thrill lies in the challenge. And as a general rule, if your planet enters a hot season, you might want to cancel your hiking plans. Ritual hunting, also known as the blooding ritual, is where things get truly ceremonial. This is the ancient initiation rite undertaken by young bloods, adolescents on the cusp of adulthood, who must prove their worth in the eyes of the clan. Success grants the hunter the revered status of blooded, a recognized adult with the right to hunt independently, carry trophies, and wear slightly more threatening armor. Failure, on the other hand, results in shame, exile, or worse, forgotten entirely, which for a species obsessed with legacy is arguably more terrifying than death itself. The queen hunt is not for the faint of heart or the short of limb. This is a large-scale, multi-predator operation involving members across various ranks, from high-ranking clan leaders down to ambitious novices looking to earn scars and stories. The objective is as suicidal as it is prestigious: infiltrate a xenomorph hive, locate the queen, and either extract or kill her. Obviously, queen hunts are often messy, extraordinarily dangerous, and despite the risks, highly coveted. The most dangerous moment isn't even the combat, it's loading the queen onto the ship. According to records, 8 out of 10 queens make a final, enraged attempt to escape during extraction. The remaining 2 simply bide their time. Sometimes a single Yautja simply won't do. There are creatures in the galaxy that require more than one plasma bolt to subdue, opponents so powerful that only the unified force of an entire clan can hope to bring them down. These are the clan hunts, legendary full-scale efforts that serve both as military engagement and cultural ritual. Only 2 entities are recorded to have successfully wiped out entire clans: the Queen Mother Xenomorph and the mythic Rote, a colossal beast from LV-742 that has entered the whisper-filled corners of Yautja lore. Both creatures exist at the apex of fear and honor, the dream trophy for the hunter, and a death sentence for the unworthy. Not all hunts are about prestige. Some are undertaken to restore balance, correct dishonor, or eliminate threats that should not exist. These are corrective hunts, reserved for abominations, breaches of the code, or unholy genetic tampering. Targets include predaliens, rogue hybrids, dishonored bad bloods, and any atrocity that stains the species' legacy. These hunts often involve ancient predators, and occasionally the intervention of the Council of Ancients itself. When a predalien queen is confirmed alive, the response is swift and spiritual, a ceremonial purge backed by the full wrath of the Old Guard, leaving no room for mercy and even less for survival. In these hunts, it is not just honor at stake, it is species identity. This makes it kind of impressive that the wolf predator in AVP Requiem had the balls to try and wipe out both a predalien and its xenomorph hive on its own. While the vast majority of Yautja hunters are male, females are not absent from the battlefield, they're simply more selective. Female Yautja traditionally remain on-world, governing their planets and commanding societal power from the shadows. But when they enter the hunt, it is not for mating status or peer validation, it is to prove themselves as defenders and rulers of their domain. The title of matriarch is said to equal even clan leaders, though how one earns this title remains a mystery. What is known is that when a female Yautja enters the field, even the bravest warriors take notice. Their reasons differ, but their honor is the same. They do not seek trophies, they seek legitimacy. Whether done for honor, legacy, vengeance, or ritual, every Yautja hunt is a performance, a sacred ballet of death where tradition guides the blade and pride fuels the kill. Each type serves a distinct cultural function, and each tells a story, not just of what was hunted, but of who the hunter chooses to be.
I'm ready for my katamia.
You really think you're ready? You want to hunt something that's hunting you.
You think the reason for Kotamia is to prove you can hunt? But there's only one reason: to survive.
After a successful kill, Yautja hunters mark themselves with the blood of their prey. This is no idle tattoo. The symbols vary between clans, but one of the most widespread is the thunderbolt, a striking sigil of the warrior god. Now you might think this culture of reverence for honorable combat would make Yautja society neat and orderly, but you'd be wrong. While predators officially frown upon fighting each other, particularly when there are juicier life forms to eviscerate elsewhere, interclan rivalries, internal mutinies, war, and the occasional bad blood make it clear that predator culture isn't as unified as their helmets might suggest. Bad bloods in particular have no issue blasting unarmed humans in the back, gutting civilians, or ignoring every sacred rule in the Yautja playbook. Imagine a spacefaring fraternity that's gone full war criminal. More rare are the inclusive clans, those eccentric few that accept humans and other species into their ranks. Machiko Noguchi, who I mentioned earlier, is the best known example, a human female who earned her place among the Yautja after killing a xenomorph queen, earning both respect and unease in equal measure. Some predators viewed her as a trailblazer, others viewed her like someone had led a cat into the wolf pack. Interestingly, Machiko believed that the Yautja were responsible for spreading xenomorphs across the galaxy, an accusation they vehemently deny, of course, claiming the aliens just evolved that way naturally, simultaneously, and across multiple star systems. Totally plausible. There's even proof that the Yautja warred with the engineers, the pale-skinned gods of body horror from the Alien franchise, as noted in the Predator Life and Death comics. One scene from AVP Requiem shows a Predator trophy room that casually includes an engineer skull, just sitting there among the others, like a flex for the ages. Whether this implies a full-blown interstellar beef or a one-off bar fight at the edge of the galaxy is unknown, but it does certainly add to the mystique. Then there's their religion. Yes, the Yautja are polytheistic, and no, it's not as simple as just worshipping war. Their cosmology includes Pyre, the conquering warrior, a kind of apex predator. They also believe in an entity known as the Black Warrior, a grim reaper-like figure who eventually bests every hunter, no matter how skilled. This belief in essence defines their entire cultural outlook. Even the greatest must one day fall. What matters is that you fall in glory, not in obscurity or cowardice. When many on Earth measure social worth in tax brackets and Twitter followers, the Yautja measure it in confirmed kills and xenomorph acid scars. Their society is a finely tuned machine built on experience, combat, and a near-religious devotion to strength through trial. Naturally, this gives rise to a caste-like structure, each level defined not by age but by blood, usually someone else's. At the very bottom, we have the unblooded, the rookies, the fresh meat, the predator equivalent of a teenage boy still learning how to shave without slicing off his jaw. These are young Yautja who have completed basic training, which likely includes spearing holograms and learning how not to explode yourself with a gauntlet. The unblooded are not seen as proper hunters yet. They're the wide-eyed interns, waiting for someone to hand them a real challenge, and, if they survive it, a place in Yautja society proper. Next up, we have the young bloods. These are the slightly more seasoned but still unproven members of the tribe. Think of them as the predator version of a college graduate still living at home. They've got the skills to gut a human in 2 seconds flat, but their status remains in limbo until they complete the defining rite of passage, killing a xenomorph. This trial is so sacred that it ends with the young blood using xenoblood to brand themselves with the Mark of Honor. A few clans fast-track the process and skip the young blood stage entirely, kind of like giving a PhD for showing up to class. The majority, though, demand the full trial, complete with acid-scarred bragging rights. Those who succeed are reborn as the blooded, the full-fledged members of Yautja society. These individuals have slain a worthy foe and earned the right to be taken seriously by their peers, and more importantly, by female Yautja, who now consider them valid breeding material. Skill levels among the blooded vary wildly. Some are walking slaughterhouses, others barely survive their first kill. Some go on to become adjutants, acting as trusted second-in-commands for higher-ranking warriors. Others plateau and remain competent, but largely unremarkable. Not everyone's destined for glory, even in a warrior culture. But those who keep surviving and winning ascend to the prestigious rank of elite. These are the upper echelon of predator society, specialists, assassins, tacticians, and xenomorph slaying machines. Elites can take on multiple enemies at once, including Praetorians, Predalians, or even Xeno Queens on a particularly spicy Tuesday afternoon. Some take on high-risk solo missions, like Wolf from the Alien vs. Predator Requiem film, who showed up to clean an entire infestation like an intergalactic janitor with attitude. Others belong to exclusive clans where only elites are allowed. A sort of predator country club, minus the golf, but with significantly more spine-ripping. Among these ranks is the leader, a predator tasked with training and commanding the unblooded. Leaders may not be the deadliest in the clan, but they are specialists in shaping minds. Think of them as tough-love mentors who'll rip your arm off to teach you how not to get your arm ripped off. They're also responsible for organizing hunts, preserving the clan's code, and probably deciding who gets the last slice of roasted xeno tail at the feast. We also have the matriarchs, rare and mostly unseen. These female Yautja are believed to rule over Yautja Prime itself. While clan leaders command operations off-world, matriarchs govern planetary affairs and are in charge of breeding, resource allocation, and deciding which unlucky young blood gets to fight in the next xeno-filled pyramid. Climbing even higher, we have the Elders. These venerable hunters are steeped in centuries of battle experience and wisdom. They often serve as clan leaders or high-ranking overseers of multiple hunting parties. Elders are respected for not just what they've killed, but for how they've lived, with honor, discipline, and the least amount of unnecessary explosions. They're also known for bestowing gifts to non-Yautja who've proven themselves in the hunt. Now we enter the realm of myth with the Ancients. Predators so old and powerful, they're basically living gods wrapped in mesh armor. These are the ones who help forge the Honor Code, and their word is law. They command enforcers who act as intergalactic moral police, tasked with eliminating the dishonored bad bloods, usually by being murder-happy lunatics with no sense of decorum. Ancients usually keep to the shadows, but on the rare occasion that something truly catastrophic happens, say a Predalien queen pops up, they're not above joining the fight directly. Case in point, the ancient nuke carrier in the Alien vs Predator extinction game, who volunteered to personally deploy a warhead to wipe out the abomination, and then went down with the ship like a noble space samurai.
Dr. Kadinsky, he managed to start a process that has created the impossible. He has created an alien queen based on predator DNA. This Predalien queen is an atrocity that will not be tolerated, and the bloodline must again be made pure. The purification ritual must be performed as decreed by Predator law. First, the clan must exterminate all aliens. When the Predalien queen is slaughtered, its skull is to be collected as a symbol of Predator superiority. Then, and only then, may the hive be purified with the Ancients' ultimate sacrifice, a nuclear detonation.
To speak of the Yautja without speaking of their technology is to misunderstand the species entirely. These are not mindless brutes tearing through the galaxy. They are warrior scientists, artisans of slaughter, whose entire technological paradigm has evolved not around survival or conquest, but around ritualized perfection of the hunt. It is a paradoxical fusion of the primitive and the futuristic, a civilization capable of interstellar travel, cloaking fields, plasma weaponry, and advanced medical devices, yet one that consistently chooses to settle life or death challenges with wrist-mounted knives and honor-bound duels. This curious dichotomy isn't just a stylistic choice, it's embedded in their social structure. Young bloods don't get the good gear, and their blades and armor aren't acid-proof. The lesson is clear: survive with crap gear and you earn the good stuff. Die horribly and, well, that's nature's performance review. At first glance, their technological approach appears almost schizophrenic. They carry plasma casters that can punch holes in tanks, yet discard them the moment a worthy opponent demands a fair fight. They wear biohelmets that can shift through thermal, ultraviolet, vibration, and even acoustic spectrums, yet often throw them off when a ritual demands direct eye contact. Their entire arsenal is dictated not by convenience or supremacy, but by an unyielding honor code, which elevates traditional close-quarters weapons like wrist blades, combi sticks, and glaives over more efficient tools like the smart disc or plasma caster. In essence, victory achieved through effort is noble, victory achieved too easily is dishonorable. As noted by Machiko, everything in clan culture was based around the hunt. Their technology advanced enough to make piloting extremely simple. Hunters didn't waste time or energy in areas where there was no honor to be gained. Even the Yautja's user interfaces reflect this. Their starships are automated to the point of simplicity. Piloting is almost ceremonial, because there's nothing noble about navigating an asteroid field or plotting a hyperspace jump. The hunt is what matters, and it is in the tools of the hunt that the Yautja invest their true genius. Their technology begins with the biohelmet, perhaps the most iconic piece of Predator gear. Far more than simple head protection, it is a multi-spectrum targeting system, language translator, diagnostic scanner, breathing apparatus, and personal black box all rolled into one. It grants the wearer an expanded view of the battlefield, with visual modes that span infrared, ultraviolet, echolocation, and even structural vibration scanning. Some helmets contain a language parser that allow the Yautja to both understand and mimic foreign languages. Others house recording logs, which not only preserve the hunt, but return to Yautja Prime should the warrior fall, effectively turning the helmet into a posthumous tactical obituary. Tied directly to the helmet is the wrist gauntlet, the nerve center of Predator field control. It contains the interface for the cloaking device, an advanced light-bending system that renders the user nearly invisible to the naked eye. It also houses satellite mapping tools, projected holographics, energy weapon controls, and of course the self-destruct mechanism, a last resort used to deny the enemy access to Yautja technology, and ideally, take as many of them with you as possible. In certain gauntlets, one might also find remote ship piloting tools, energy surge emitters, plasma bursts, and even miniaturized computing devices like the Kajad, used for field diagnostics or remote access. The Yautja's medical technology is equally grim and pragmatic. The Medicomp, carried during most hunts, contains advanced healing agents, cauterizing serums, and regenerative solvents that allow a predator to patch up puncture wounds, broken bones, or acid burns in the field. For deeper field cleansing operations, they carry cleaner cases, boxes containing tracking syringes, dissolving compounds, and even secondary self-destruct modules to ensure all evidence of their presence is purged. And then of course there are the weapons, divided often subtly by ritual hierarchy. Melee weapons are seen as the most honorable and personal tools of the hunt. These include everything from wrist blades, serrated and retractable, forged for both combat and ceremonial mutilation, to combi sticks, the Yautja's signature telescoping spear, useful in both close quarters and at range. There are also exotic tools like scimitars, whips, and ceremonial daggers, each used either as primary weapons or as symbolic instruments for trophy extraction. Ranged weaponry is just as elaborate. Smart discs and shuriken provide auto-guided lethality with bladed flare. Net guns fire tensile wire nets to constrict and slice. Spear guns operate like alien crossbows, while plasma pistols and burners deliver raw energy with minimal effort. The plasma caster, the classic shoulder-mounted cannon, remains the most recognizable ranged tool, often tracking targets through tri-laser targeting arrays linked directly to the helmet's neural interface. However, overuse of these weapons is frowned upon. Strength must be tested, not just triggered. The armor the Yautja wear varies significantly between individuals and castes. At minimum, it includes heated mesh undersuits and weapon bandoliers. High-ranking warriors wear Vanguard or Phoenix armor, the latter resistance to fire, radiation, and plasma, while elite military Yautja may don tactical supremacy armor, which is capable of shrugging off high-caliber rounds, acid splashes, and kinetic impacts. Despite their species' affinity for combat, many predators prefer to wear only what is necessary, leaving large portions of their bodies exposed. Whether this is for temperature regulation, intimidation, or simply aesthetic pride is debatable, but the effect is undeniable. Nothing says confidence like going into battle in a loincloth and a smile. Vehicles are typically reserved for large-scale operations or interstellar travel. From drop pods to scout ships, blade fighters to motherships, all Yautja craft are engineered for minimal crew oversight and maximum deployment efficiency. Their anti-gravity sleds, mobile fireline turrets, and even pred guns, auto-deployable sentry platforms with integrated plasma casters, underscore just how seamlessly the Yautja can scale their war gear to the battlefield's needs. And yet, despite this technological wealth, the Yautja remain deeply possessive and secretive about their creations. Human attempts to steal or salvage predator tech are met with swift, often explosive retaliation. The code demands it. No lesser species must possess Yautja weaponry, not because they fear us catching up, but because to let their tools be wielded without honor is the ultimate blasphemy.
Leave it. They can only slow us down.
Too much has been lost to leave here with nothing.
Wait. Please wait.
Thousands of years ago, these hunters found a backwater planet. They taught humans how to build, and were worshipped as gods.
In the Alien vs. Predator expanded universe, millennia ago, the Predators arrived on Earth, stepped off their ships, and were promptly worshipped as divine beings by awestruck humans who hadn't quite figured out the wheel yet. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Aztecs, and Khmer didn't just evolve in parallel by coincidence. According to the Yautja mythos, they were given a crash course in pyramid construction. The price? Sacrifices. And lots of them. Because where we saw sacred temples, they saw xenomorph breeding pits and live fire testing grounds for their teenage hunters. These pyramids weren't built for spiritual enlightenment, they were constructed as trial by fire arenas for young bloods to prove their worth against xenomorphs in tightly timed rituals every 100 or so years. If they survived, they got a nice acid-scarred forehead and the eternal bragging rights of a clan mark. If they didn't, well, the xenomorphs multiplied, and the Yautja hit the big red button on their wrist and turned themselves into a bomb. Of course, not all Yautja visits to Earth were part of these neatly scheduled bloodbaths. Over the centuries, various predators have returned for sport, showing up in unexpected places. From Renaissance Europe to Beirut and the jungles of Vietnam, Earth has been a convenient safari destination for these trophy-seeking tourists. Some even brought humans back to alien game preserves, turning unsuspecting warriors into unwilling contestants on the most violent reality show never broadcast. But this long history of murder doesn't mean the Yautja lack an opinion on us. In fact, they have many, most of them unflattering. In the classic Alien vs. Predator Prey comic, humans are portrayed as the stuff of bedtime horror stories told to unblooded pups, crafty, dangerous, and irritatingly hard to kill. For all our physical inferiority, what we lack in size, we make up for in trickery. That said, Yautja generally treat other species, including us, with a kind of snobbish detachment. Everyone's either prey or beneath notice. A few even consider humans to be disgusting on a primal level. Machiko once joked about inbreeding with a predator and nearly made one vomit on the spot. That said, as I mentioned earlier, not all Yautja subscribe to the same xenophobic disdain. Some have displayed something bordering on respect, even camaraderie. Scar famously teamed up with Alexa Woods during the Antarctica hunt, sharing his weapons and even granting her the mark of the blooded before his death. Other outliers like Big Mama fought alongside humans when mutual survival was on the line, proving that not every predator wants to wear your skull, just most of them. Their relationship with xenomorphs, however, is an entirely different beast, literally. The Yautja refer to them as serpents and consider them the pinnacle of prey, relentless, fearless, and worthy of reverence. To them, the xenomorph is more than just a killing machine. It's a spiritual adversary, a rite of passage with claws. It's even been suggested by over-eager human scientists that the Yautja may have had a hand in engineering the xenomorphs themselves. While this theory belongs firmly in the "take 2 aspirin and never speak of this again" file, what's clear is that the predators have a vastly superior understanding of the species compared to our own. While humans typically lose containment of a xeno infestation by breakfast, the Yautja have successfully kept queens in prison for millennia. The Yautja's historical footprint on Earth is massive, yet covert. They've influenced our architecture, altered our myths, wiped out civilizations when things got messy, and taught our ancestors how to die with dignity, if not quietly. Their interactions with us have ranged from genocide to mentorship, and everything in between. Some see us as dangerous prey, others as useful allies, but rarely ever as equals. So next time you see a perfectly symmetrical pyramid in the middle of a jungle, it might just be the waiting room for something with mandibles and a thermal scope, and it probably thinks you'd make a fine centerpiece in its trophy cabinet.
Why don't you tell them the truth?
I don't know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about, the way you looked at that thing that was strung up. She knows what it is.
He's here.
We don't have a name for them. 87 Guatemala. A spec ops team went into the jungle. Only one made it out. And here's the brief. He said they came in contact with something. It wore some kind of camouflage that adjusted to ambient light. He could see in infrared heat signatures. It hunted and killed his team one by one.
Whatever it is, wherever they're from, we're gonna kill them all.